welcome to Friday. One exciting day because the membership's open. Well, opened last night actually, and so we've had a few people in already, which is great. Right, I'm Carl. If you don't know me, Carl Thomas. I'm the founder of Beyond the Lens Academy and also Carl Thomas Photography. I'm just about to see it on my shirt there. And that Carl Thomas Photography, as those of you who are watching this on the Carl Thomas Photography Facebook page will know what it's about. But basically, it's a dog photography business I set up 5.5 years ago, I think it was, which has gone fantastically well. It's like there's nearly 30,000 people that follow me on social media and really thriving business. Great fun. And it's, you know, who doesn't love spending time with dogs? I just absolutely love it. We've got 3 ourselves, so great fun. But the Beyond the Lens Academy, you know, people say to me, so what, you know, what's that all about? Why did you set it up? And it's come from something that came out of my journey, which is obviously an ongoing thing, which is, you know, I went on workshops, I did webinars, I watched YouTube videos, I did all the various things that we all do if we're trying to learn about anything really, and in particular photography. One of the things I found though was some of the content was, or most of the content was pretty good to be fair, but some of it was, all of it was in different places, very different styles of content, different delivery systems. So Beyond the Lens Academy, what is it? It is an online training support platform for photographers at all levels, basically. So if you want to join as a beginner, and then grow all the way up into becoming a pro, aspiring pro, and earning money from your passion, you can do that. And if you want to join as a beginner, you don't need, you know, it could be a smartphone, you might have just got your first camera, and so on. So we'll talk a little bit about the different levels, but that's the kind of concept of it. There is, and so it's online, but it's not just a bunch of pre-recorded stuff, which, you know, to be fair, there's a lot of that on Facebook at the moment. Everything on my feed is sign here and save this, and I'll 10x your revenue and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they're very good. But you log in and you get like 10 videos to watch, which is fine. We're not like that. We are a very vibrant, hands-on, organic community with lots of members doing different things. There's live one-to-ones, and I'll come on to in a minute to show you what we do and how it works. But, you know, we are different. There is currently something like, there's a little list. There's over 700 training webinars that are in there. So, of course, you know, you can go and watch stuff if you want, and that's all there for all the different levels. But it's constantly being added to. Every week we're adding new things. So let me just give you a quick flavour of some of the things that are in there. Now, I'll tell you what, before we do that, if you want to join the Academy, the doors are open. So let me put the website on here. I know it'll be here somewhere, but I'll put it on here as well. And they close on Sunday night, and I'll explain a little bit more about that on the lens. Beyond the Lens, of course, a bit early for me. Need a bit more coffee, I think. Academy, oh, blimey. Sorry, right. Academy.com, make sure I got that right. Beyond the Lens Academy.com. That's the website. And so you can go and join. Now, there are, I've just emailed them out. So if you're on our mailing list, check your spam and your junk mails and stuff, because, you know, these things go all over the place. But there are some additional offers. So we are, and I've put it on Facebook now. So if you're thinking about joining, hold off until probably after this webinar or this Facebook Live. So just after 10, we're putting up some vouchers. So we've got some discounts for some extra discounts. I mean, the discounts in there range from 30 to 50% already for these offers, which we've done on purpose because of everything that's going on. You know, we were planning to change the prices significantly this time around, but we've kept it for obvious reasons with the world that's going on. But we've also this morning had a meeting and we've added a couple of extra discounts. One for all the annual memberships. We've got a further, where's my list? Further 10% discount. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, which is in addition to all the offers that are already there, and there'll be a code for that. If you're on the mailing list, you've got the code already, and the code is basically camera. That's the word. Just type in the word camera when you go to subscribe on any of the annual ones, and it will take all the cross discounts are already there, but it takes another 10% off, which is quite amazing. And also for the pro aspiring pros, I'll come on to that in a second, a bit more detail. The monthly option there's a voucher to take 15% off the monthly cost. The reason we've done it is it's a really good value for a program anyway, but we've had a lot of people who, especially with lockdown and everything else that's going on, who are quite keen to sort of get in at that level and sort of turn their sort of passion into business. So it's my way of sort of encouraging people to get in there, because I absolutely love. Have a look at the Facebook reviews, wherever they live on this page. You'll see what some people are saying. We've got people going live, the new businesses earning revenue, and I get a real buzz from that, as well as helping all the other photographers. So the code for that's Aperture, but if you're on the emailing list, that's gone out, and I'll be putting a post on Facebook at about 10 o'clock with the details on that. So if you want to join and you're thinking about joining on an annual basis, or you're thinking about joining as a pro, aspiring pro on a monthly basis, hold off. We'll use those discount codes if you can remember them, but hold off. I'll put the details on the Facebook page. If you're on the mailing list, you've already got it. All the other ones, so all the other monthly ones, so beginner and amateur monthly, have stayed the same in that they've already got, what's the discount levels on those? Let me tell you. So the beginner one is 44%. Well, blimey. And the amateur one is 33%. So it's a pretty good. They've all got huge discounts. Anyway, enough of all that. You'll see it all on the website. Now, so any questions you want to ask, because this is really more about photography tips and tricks and stuff, really. So anything you want to ask me about photography, about lenses, about tips and techniques, anything I do, any of the photos that you've seen on my feed, pop your comments in the questions here, and I'll answer, or pop questions in the comments even, and I'll answer them for you. Now, I'll just flick through some of the things that are in the academy, the kind of things that you'd get. So we have a direct message facility, and that's I'll leave it up there. Really important, because it's not just a bunch of pre-recorded videos. I'm very active in the membership. I work with pretty much all of the members on an individual basis at some point. Certainly when everybody joins, we get an individual one-to-one. So being able to contact me and have a conversation is important. We've got a very active, vibrant Facebook group, which if you join the academy, you get access to. And also if you go on any of our workshops, you also get access to that as well. But it's a great community. Lots of members in there. Asking questions of each other, sharing images, sharing advice, sharing tips, techniques, and it's just really lots of advice, lots of skill sets coming out of that. Because it's not just me. There's a bunch of photographers in our academy, and I say a lot now because it's a very fast-growing business, which is brilliant. And so everybody's got different skill sets. Everybody's got different cameras, and people are sort of saying, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting the EOS R5." Two of our members got those, and one's got an R6. So the conversations are going on about real life, members with equipment. So anyway, that's the private Facebook group. Now, I'm going to spend a minute or two on this, if that's all right. Online learning modules. Now, of course we have that. We're an online training and support platform. So of course we've got online learning modules. Ours are a bit different though, and they stand out because if you contrast some of the other opportunities out there to learn, that you go on, you pay your subscription either monthly or annually, and you get a series of 10 or 20 videos or whatever it might be. They're not all like that, but some of them are, most of them are. And it's fairly binary. So you watch the videos, you might be able to make the odd comment, but that's kind of it. And so our online learning modules are different for a couple of reasons. One is it's not the only thing in the academy. There's a whole bunch of other things which I'll talk about. And there's well over 100 of them in there already. So you join now, there's plenty of content for you to have a look at. But they are recorded live. So there's a bit like this. If I'm doing one on, capturing birds in action or birds in flight, for example, I'll be talking about the settings, the kind of lenses you use, the various different sneaky techniques to get those really standout images. So that will be kind of part of the training program, or the module, if you like. And I record it live. Members come along that are available, and they can interact and ask questions. So they say, "Oh, Carl, so what do you reckon? You're saying about the 500mm lens, but is a 400 good enough, for example, or whatever it might be?" And so it makes it a little bit more of an much more of an interesting process for our members in terms of those that are join the webinars live. These are then obviously uploaded into the academy at whatever level you're at in the academy, and they're posted in such a way that you can watch the playback, as we call it, with all the comments that have previously come up when it was being recorded, as well as add more comments. So the online learning modules are a really important part of what we do, but they're organic and they kind of grow in terms of information. So what else we got? Mobile app. I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling you about that. We've got a mobile app. It works. It's brilliant. I touched on the webinar. So we're doing these. So the content that if you join now, there's over, depending on what level you're at, there's over 100 webinars in there already. We're adding to that literally daily. I think I've done about 5 this week. And we're driven by the members. So it's not just me saying, right, next week we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We get feedback from the members and they'll sort of say, look, it'd be interesting to look at this area. So we'll do a webinar about it. So that's a really important part. There's a number of different formats. So there's different types. So there's webinars that we do for what we call the hub, because everybody joins the membership gets access to a thing called the hub. So if you join as an amateur, you get the hub, beginner, you get the hub, and so on. And the hub has got content that is sort of more generic that goes across all of them. So it might have things in there about editing, it might have resources in there about equipment, and it might have reviews about technology or cameras. So that's something that people have in there. So that's one kind of webinar. The other 3 are ones that are specifically for beginners, specifically for I'll say the other 3, there's a few more for beginners, amateurs, and pros. So they're very specific. There's a thing called a freestyle webinar, which we do every week, very popular, where I go live, and I might have a quick introduction topic. But what effectively we do is we're driven by the members. Morning, Darren. Good news. There's vouchers coming. So if you're on the mailing list, you'll have seen them. But we have, for annual membership, offered a 10% discount. So if you want to pay it in one go, get 10% off. in addition to what is already 45% off, so it's a bit of a mad deal. Finance department not happy with me this morning, but it's my business, so I've just decided that's what we're going to do. But we've also done it for the Pro Aspiring Pro. We've put a 15% discount voucher in there. So if you're thinking about subscribing at that level, all you do is put the code in, which is Aperture, and that saves another 15% on the monthly subscription for the Pro Aspiring Pro for the next 12 months. So I thought you might like that. Anyway, back to these webinars. I'll be putting all that on Facebook, and it's been emailed out to everybody this morning. So if you're on the mailing list, have a little look. And if it's not there, just check your junk folder, because you know what mailing lists are like, they often end up there. And I don't send a lot out so that your mailing systems won't get used to them, that's why. So there's webinars for each of the 3 levels. The freestyle one is also one that is really popular, because people come along, we ask questions, and we just basically have a chat. Really, really valuable. That's good fun. And then the other sort, which we're starting to build up and got a load to load up at the moment, are what I call reference videos. So they're not ones I do live, but that'll be something like, for example, I don't know, back button focus. How do I set that up on my camera? You know, I can explain that in about 5 minutes. And so there will be a 5-minute, literally reference video. You know, how do I import my images into Lightroom? What's the best way of doing that? And what add, move, copy, and copy as DNG, the little things at the top if you use Lightroom, for example. You know, what do those things do? So there's little reference videos on that. Another classic one that's in there is, when you're exporting, what about file sizes, pixel levels, all the various things that are in the dialog box when you want to export an image and add a watermark. So there's a whole series. There will actually be a ton of those in the next few weeks being uploaded, because we're just producing them all the moment. But they're typically, we keep them to less than 10 minutes. I like them to be between 5 or 6 minutes. So they're the sort of thing you can think, actually, I just want to check that, have a quick watch and go, okay, got it, rather than have to dive into a half an hour webinar that's got more detail in it. So that's group webinars. Right, let's have a little look. What else we got? New gear reviews. I mean, there's so much going on at the moment, so I'm constantly updating people with what I think about new gear reviews, feedback from members who've all bought equipment. And also, this is something I'm quite passionate about within the membership. A lot of our members, in fact, quite a lot of them actually, as they join the academy, they start falling in with their camera again, and they're spending more time out about taking photographs and getting excited with the camera. And one of the side effects of that, apart from having a great time, is people come to me and say, "Oh, Carl, I think about I need to upgrade my camera. I want a new lens, or I want to change it and stuff," which is good. That's great. But what I do is I always have a one-to-one with anybody who wants to do that, because I think it's really important. I've been there to understand it, because it's a minefield at the moment. It's one thing trying to work out what mobile phone you want. You go into a camera shop and say, "I'd like to buy a camera." I mean, where do you start? So a one-to-one for me, we will go through a couple of things, budget obviously, but I'll try and get to the bottom of what it is that you think you need to change your camera for, and sometimes you don't need to. And if you do, it's about making sure you get what you need for what you're trying to achieve with your photography, as opposed to what you think you might want. And because there are so many people, unfortunately, who've spent more money than they need to get good quality images. And obviously, work and spend as much as you like, but I like to help our members with that. So that's what we do with new gear reviews. This is a popular thing, group image critiques. So as you can start to see now, and this is not all of it, because I'm conscious you haven't got all day or all morning, because you've got other things to do, I'm sure. But there's a lot in the academy. It's not just a bunch of videos. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on. So we are very different. I'd like to think we're quite unique, but who knows? So group image critiques, what that is we set a theme every couple of 3 weeks. It's about getting people out with their cameras and getting feedback. One of the most important things in photography is getting people telling you about your images and what's good and bad and indifferent. Morning, Janet, one of our members. Morning, Helen, one of our members. It's great to see you all. Welcome on this lovely Friday morning. Right, I'm just getting back to my balance again. Yeah, so the image critiques, the concept behind that is I normally set up a theme. So the one that we did on Wednesday night, I tend to do them in the evening so more members can be available. So it's not a 9 to 5 academy. This is well when I say live. I've got webinars I come on at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, if necessary, because that's, we fit around our members, not the other way around. Anyway, the group image critiques, we all set a theme. So the last one was autumn and/or water. Just a matter of interest. And then we set it up and we put a date in the diary, a couple of weeks. It's all scheduled in a few weeks' time. And then members go on, continue doing what they're doing and go out and take photos. And then there's in the system, it's basically you can upload your image, and you can normally 2 images in, the before image and the after image, and in commentary. If you're a beginner and you're not editing, you just put 2 images in. It's fairly relaxed, which is important. And then what happens is they're all uploaded on the system. And then when we're doing the review, which we did on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. During the course of that day, myself and the team put together a presentation of all those images with obviously the member's name and the settings and any commentary they wanted to talk about. And then I go through them one by one with everybody that wants to come along live. It's recorded, so you can watch it in the playback. And so if you join the academy, you'll see there's a whole load in there at the moment. And we go through with each member or with each image, feedback based on theme, but it's not a competition. So, because I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. But what it is feedback. So it's not just me saying that's a nice image, really good. Although I do say that, but what I mean is it's critical analysis. So I will say that's a really good image because, and it'll be settings, composition, whatever it is technically about that image that's made it stand out. I will share with you and all the group if you're obviously one of our members. And if there's an image that you're sort of, I think actually could be improved in some way, I will share how you can do that. Because the reason I think that is so important is the sooner you learn when you're in photography, whether you're a beginner or a pro, or anywhere in between, and you're trying to get standout images, when you get that image, and we've all had it, where you get an image and you think, oh, that's good, that's really good. What's really important in the early days of your photography journey is to know why. What did I do to get that? Why is that image so good? Now, obviously, sometimes that's just because it's a really rare animal that you don't see, but typically it's because of something like composition, use of depth of field, the settings, whatever it might be. And if, as a result of being in the academy, I can say to you, right, that's why that image is so good. Then you can go, right, okay, I've got that. Then it becomes something you can repeat. And if you repeat it, you get better at it and your image quality grows. I mean, again, have a look at the reviews. And I keep saying it, don't believe what I'm saying, see what the members are saying. But there's some of the members that have joined this academy, some of the images where they first started versus where they are now, and in a few months have been transformed. So that's what the group image critiques is about. Let's have a little look. There's a red dot up here. Let's see what that says. Well, let me just say, have you joined? That's what we like. Well done, Darren. Welcome aboard. I'll get in and do this a profile form. Darren and I have been having a chat because he's quite keen. He's got some plans in terms of his photographic business, which is really exciting. It's one of my favourite things to do in the academy. So when you log in, you've got your password and stuff already. Find the membership profile form, get all that filled out. I get a notification, and we'll have a little one-to-one and start planning. Brilliant. Welcome aboard. That's what I like to see. Right. Where else? A few more banners, and then I'll get into some pictures and stuff. Right. Choose your subject. Right. Okay. Now, we do one-to-one. So everybody who joins the academy, whatever level, whether it's beginner, amateur, or pro, I do a personal one-to-one with everybody, and I'm passionate about that, and I will continue to do that because I think it's important. You're investing money in an academy that's not just a bunch of videos, but you're going to get support and feedback, and I want to meet everybody and understand what they're about, why they join the academy. That's what that profile form I just mentioned, the Darren's all about. You go in and you put loads of information in there. That then gives me a notification, the team schedule, and then we'll have a one-to-one, literally a personal one-to-one. We'll spend an hour having a chat, and in that we can talk about tips and techniques and settings and skills. We often do that, but the main reason for it is have an e-meet, which is kind of the way the world is these days. But for me to say, right, okay, what is it? And why did you join the academy? What is it in your photography journey that's holding you back? Where do you see yourself going? What are you trying to achieve? What have you done in the past? What did you like? What didn't you like? All that kind of stuff. We'll have a chat about it because that is one of the most important parts of the academy for me, because this academy is about our members, not about what I think about photography. Yeah, I've been doing this 30 years and I'm an Adobe accredited associate and I work with Alan Wall and we do lots of stuff. So we can help. That's what we do, but it's driven by the membership. And so having that feedback means that I can say to the team, right, actually, there's quite a lot of people now asking about, I don't know, macro photography or autumn editing or the new R5, there's a lot of people asking about different technologies. So I can make sure that we're constantly serving up content, resources and support that fits what our members are wanting. And so it's really important. I know I'm banging on about it, but it is really important. And then last, before I get into sort of any more questions and stuff, and I'll just talk about some images and a little bit about the academy and what you need to do to join, although Darren seems to have worked out, which is brilliant. Discounted photography workshop. So as a member, this discount applies, about 25%, I think it is. Yeah, it is. Should know, shouldn't I, really? That's for the 2-day workshops. We rerun those. We're not running at the moment. There was meant to be one last week. Couldn't do that, obviously. So we were hoping to try and do it in December. We might do a 2-day one in December, but if not, there'll be a whole series of the next year. They're very popular. Small groups, 4 or 5 people, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. So it's all very hands-on. Combination of theory and hands-on and sort of photography, practical skills out with cameras as well. So they're really good. So that's one format, and they're discounted. The other format, which I may have mentioned if you've been on any of these webinars a few times, is so we've got 2 at the moment in the diary. There's a whole lot more being scheduled, but there's one in the Inner Hebrides in Islay. And if you've ever been to Islay, I've been to all the different places when it comes to these sort of photography trips, but honestly, Islay is breathtaking. This was shot in Islay. Where's it gone? Oh no, that's the wrong one. I was trying to click on the wrong button there. Bear with me. Thinking, why didn't that picture come up? Right, there we go. There it is. That's shot in Islay, and that is near the cottage that we're staying in. I think I can't remember. I think that was shot in Islay. So, and there's another one that we did over there. Where's my little lapwing? Bear with me. It's down here. Crikey, I don't move my images around. I must stop doing this. Right, this sort of stuff's done over there. All these sort of images. This is what we do in Islay. This is the house we're staying in. 37 acres of land, all down. It's not, we don't own it. Obviously, we've chartered it, rented it, whatever you like. Just as you come down to the house, there's some private cottages as well. So the concept there is we don't do anything but halves in the academy when it comes to these because that's just the way I am. If we're going to do it properly. And it is a beautiful house. It's all catered. So all you've got to do is bring your equipment, and if you fancy a bottle of wine, you bring anything alcoholic along with you, and that's it. So Alan Ward, very well-known, accomplished, published wildlife photographer, videographer, run them with me. We don't have a huge amount of people on them on purpose. So it's typically less than 10, I would say, quite often quite a bit less than that. And so it's hands-on, and you can join if you've just got your first camera. On one of the ones I did recently, somebody brought their box along with the camera in it. And I love that because we can then, getting somebody with their first camera and getting it working is brilliant. And right up to pro. So there's no reason why you sort of think, oh, I'm not sure I can do that. So they're thinking about it from that point of view. So we're out each day looking at wildlife and looking at landscapes, and we might be doing long exposures, we might be doing lens ball photography. That's something that's becoming quite popular at the moment. All those sort of things during the day, and with all the support from Alan and myself. But then it's an ongoing thing. So in the evenings we have obviously we have a nice it's all catered, so a nice full breakfast and stuff to be able to make packed lunches if you want to take stuff with you during the course of the day, and we have a full sit down proper meal in the evenings, and that's all part of it. But during that process, of course, for the week or 2 weeks, because there's normally a week, but we've got an extra week there at the moment because the first week sold out in I think 2 days. Second week that's available, again, it's all on the website, I've got a few spaces left on it, so not a lot of room left. But what we do in the evening then is obviously is a general discussion about photography. We've got 8 photographers who've been out and about all day long. It's going to be, oh, what do you think of this? I've done that. And so there's lots of feedback. But then in the evenings, and or if we have a day where the weather's rubbish or something like that, then I'll be doing sort of workshops. I might on the big screen put up some stuff about editing, or we might talk about techniques. Alan might be talking about fieldcraft and all the stuff that goes with it. So it's a very immersive week. So I'd recommend those. The other one we're doing, which is one of my favourites, is up in Bonnie, Scotland. So last week of January, first week of February. First week of February sold out again almost overnight, which is brilliant. And the last week of January has a couple of spaces left on it, but I think it's literally 2. It might be 1 because of somebody checking this morning. But anyway, so what we do is we go up into the Cairngorms and we're looking at taking photographs of these sort of things, snow hares and ptarmigan. Where's my ptarmigan? I don't know. It's there somewhere. And again, it's fully a beautiful Georgian house. With really, really high standards. So it's, that's the other kind of workshops that we do. Let's have a little look up here. What's this in? Hello, Ali. See, Ali's one of our members. Let me show you a photo that Ali took. I hope you don't mind, Ali. So I took this one, and I entered into a competition. So this is quite a technical sort of stuff. One of the things we do on our workshops: how to get a salmon shot. So it's tripod, manual focus, remote shutter release, and everything else. And so you might sort of think, well, yeah, that's all very well, Nicole, but you are a professional and you've got a flash camera and all that kind of stuff, which is true. But Ali, who is not a professional, although her photographic journey is doing really well. I think she's left a review, so have a look and see what she says. This is Ali's photo, and it's an amazing photo. Nice tack sharp, lovely composition and everything else. But Ali's got a Canon 70D, which is an entry-level camera that's about, if you think about upgrading, we're talking about that at the moment, but it's a few years old. But because Ali's in the academy and working with us all, we're able to help people get the most out of whatever equipment they've got. I mean, another example of that is another picture. This picture I often put up on Facebook of Badger, our Springer, one of our 3 dogs. People often love this photo because of the expression and the light on him and the detail in his nose and all that kind of stuff. And I'll get people saying, oh, Carl, do you mind if I ask what lens you used and all that kind of stuff? iPhone. And it's not just that an iPhone can take a good photo, because it can, but there are a whole raft of things. You can do long exposures of these things. You can take action shots. You can move the focus point around. You can do quite a lot of things. And so one of the things that we do a lot in the academy is helping people. And I think you'll see somebody's mentioned it in one of the reviews. get the most out of whatever equipment they've got. It is not always about spending a fortune on photograph equipment. Anyway, so any more? Keep the comments and questions going. So I'll sort of show you some more images in a second. But in terms of the membership, a few people have asked me a couple of things. So I just sort of share them with you. The first thing people have asked me in the last few days, quite a lot, is can I gift membership of the Academy as a present for Christmas? And the answer is yes. So now the doors are open, you can basically go in and have a little look. Typically that will be an annual membership, and which there is an extra 10% discount on the annual membership if you use the code CAMERA. But don't subscribe on there. What you need to do is have a look and decide, have the thought of which one you might want to gift. Drop me a message and we can have a conversation and clarify which one I think is the right one based on conversation. And then we'll do it separately, because then I can create a nice voucher for you and get the sort of the invoice paid and all that kind of stuff done for the membership. And then the voucher will have all the information that the person getting the gift needs to activate their membership. It's very straightforward. So answer yes to gifts, very popular. Actually, I've had a couple of inquiries already this morning about that. And then the other thing is, people say to me, so what is all this about the closed membership? Don't understand. And the reason for what we do is we have a closed membership. So we're open 2 or 3 times a year. This was going to be the last, because of what's been going on at the moment. We may try and get one in before Christmas. I'm not sure. I'd like to, but we'll see. But the rest of the time we're closed, and the reason for that is I spend all my time. Darren just mentioned he's joined, so I'm going to be having a chat with Darren sometime next week on a one-to-one, and all the members that join, and I've got quite a few scheduled already for the people that joined last night and early this morning. And we work with all the members. You've heard all the things that I've talked about in terms of what's in the Academy. The webinars are recorded every week. There's one-to-ones that are really, really important. Now that's so that all those things are important, and that means that we're working with our members. So I don't want to be spending all my time marketing and doing all the stuff that you see all over Facebook at the moment. We have to do it now and again, which is what I'm doing now. We're a business and we want to get new members in and allow them to get in, but that's why we do it. Now, one of the things that I wanted to just touch on is this. So I mentioned about individual members at AV level gets a one-to-one with me, but at the amateur level, you get one of these every month. It's all included. And, I'm not strict about it. If you need to have a couple, that's fine. I don't mind that. But if you join as a aspiring pro, as Darren just has, they are unlimited. So just think about that for a minute. They're unlimited. So that means if you have a little look at what that costs, it's ridiculous value for money, which is why the discount's quite significant at the moment, but it's not likely to carry on for a lot longer because the financing would go nuts. But unlimited one-to-ones, and the reason I do that, as somebody who's been through the journey of setting up a business, in those early stages when you're trying to go from being a photographer to somebody earning money, and that's not necessarily having a studio or being a full-on weekly professional or full-time professional, which of course we do have members doing that and we can do that and help that. Sometimes it's just somebody who's thinking, you know what, I might want to see if I can earn some income from my photography just on a part-time basis, and see what happens. It's kind of how I started, because I was running a business in London at the time, and I thought, I'll see what happens. And then I got a booking, then I got another booking, and then I learned a bit more about Facebook, and then learned loads about Facebook and social media, and the rest is history. So the unlimited one-to-ones, what that means is you can come on and have a one-to-one meet on an unlimited basis. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But just to clarify that, typically most pros that are going live will do that at least once a week. But I've had a couple where in the last week, so for example, one of our members, Tony, he's gone live last Friday. So I've been working with him for the last sort of month or so, social media strategy, pricing strategy. All of that stuff is all open. I don't hide anything. Website strategy, all the various things, pricing, portfolio, get all that sort of stuff done, invoicing, all the things to get done right. Then we go live. He's got nearly 400 people following him already and has had bookings already inside a week. So with the right kind of planning and structure, it can be done. But don't let anybody tell you, and there's plenty of people that will, that the photography market is saturated. It's not. There are a lot of people doing it, and that means you have to operate in a slightly different way. But I've got members who've gone live in the last few months who've had, several four-figure orders already. It's about what you do and how you do what you do that sets you apart. And so just finally on the unlimited one-to-ones, so sometimes it's 2 or 3 a week. And the other thing is that if you're running a business, whether it's just part-time or full-time, when you've got a question or you've got a challenge or you've got something you've got to deal with, that doesn't happen every Wednesday, does it? Or every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. It happens when it happens. And so that's when you need to be able to say, Carl, I've got this to deal with. Have you got a time for one-to-one? And have a look at the reviews. But I can't think of an occasion when a member has come to me via our system and said, Carl, I need to have a one-to-one. Well, I haven't been able to say, I'm free in a couple of hours. or what about tomorrow morning, or what about this evening? That's how quick we do it. And that's, invaluable when it comes to getting your feet off the ground in terms of earning money from photography. And it's a bit of an interesting time at the moment, because a lot of people have changed direction for reasons that are outside of their control, but there are a lot more people joining the academy who are looking to sort of monetize, turn their passion for photography into an income stream. And it can be done. It's not as complicated as you might think. So anyway, let's have a little look up here. Got some questions. Is the current joining annual price valid for just 1 year? Yeah, it's an annual. Yeah, it's good. I have to think about that. It's been a long week, Andrew. Yeah, so the annual price is basically when you join and you pay the annual figure. That's your membership for a full 12 months, and then you can join again either on a monthly basis or an annual basis or whatever. So yeah, that's fine. That's kind of how it works. So it's pretty straightforward, actually, in that sense. I hope that clarifies. Is the current annual join price for just, yeah, so exactly the current price, if you want to join annually, will give you membership for the next 12 months, and then it'll renew for you if you wanted to, but you don't have to, and don't leave it as an automatic. So I hope that helps. It'd be lovely to have you on board. And got any more questions or anything like that, just drop me a message. Happy to answer them, on a direct message, or pop them in here. Partly why I go live and ask these questions. So we'd love to have you on board. Nice cough, how annoying. So I think I've mentioned that we do unlimited one-to-ones. And just finally on that bit, before I start showing you some images, there are some members who are beginners and amateurs. Well, actually, two things. If you join as a beginner, can you upgrade to amateur or pro? The answer is yes. We've got a system for doing that in the academy. It's really important, and you still keep all access to all your stuff. But also, what a number of people have done recently, from either the amateur level or beginner level, they've upgraded to the pro aspiring pro, not because they want to become a pro. You don't have to be a pro in that area in terms of, it's important that you're setting up a business. But what it does give you is access to this unlimited one-to-one. And some people prefer being able to have a chat to me once a week about their camera and what they're doing than doing it on a pre-recorded basis. So that's something else to consider. Right. Let's have a little look. So in terms of the sort of things that we'll do in the academy, so let's say you join as a, I'll start at the top this time. I tend to sort of go all over the place with this. So if you're joining as a pro aspiring pro, and notwithstanding what I've just said about some people just want the access to me on that one, but if you're thinking about setting up a business, or you've already got a business, what does that look like? What kind of things do we cover? And frankly, we cover whatever you need to be covering. But obviously, with my background and experience, I can help direct that. I'm just finding my pictures. I moved one picture and they've all moved around. I won't do that again. All right, here we go. So here's something that's very popular. It's social media. I mean, obviously this is about Facebook, boosting posts, Facebook ads, but a really big part of what we will be doing for pro and aspiring pros in the academy, and I've got a webinar later today, actually, all about social media. And social media is not one of those things that you just have a webinar about and a module. It is, you'll see them. Some people subscribe to a whole year of content about what's going on with just Instagram. And so we'll work very closely with the pro aspiring pros to make sure their social media strategy, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, is bang on. Because if you get that right, you can transform your business pretty much almost, I wouldn't say overnight, but not far off it. I'm 56. I'm not from the social media era of experts. I am now, because I had to learn and find out these things. So that's why I've got as many people who follow my business as I have, and it's growing like this at the moment, which is brilliant. Another thing that is very popular and very common is that, how do I get leads? Where do I target them from? What about prospects? How do I engage with them? Once I've got customers, how do I convert? All that kind of that process, really important, and it's really important to get it right. What do I charge? Pro aspiring pros, that is one of the most common questions I get asked. And one of the most common scenarios is people are either not charging enough or far too much. 99 times out of 100, they're just not charging enough. And because they don't understand what you need to charge and how you charge and what you offer your customers. So we do all of that, as well as obviously the technical side of photography. So making sure your images are stand out and improving that, and all the various different techniques you need to do that. And that's not just about dog photography. It can be people, could be landscape, could be wildlife, could be street photography, headshots, newborns, children, all that kind of stuff. We've got people in the academy doing all of those things. So let's go down the middle end. So if you're an amateur, what is one of the most popular things that I get asked about as an amateur? Wildlife photography. It is by far the most popular thing. Second, I would probably be landscape photography. So this is a wildlife workshop. I went up into Scotland, Gannets on a reserve. And they're quite hard little things to photograph actually, because they're quite white, and so you've got to deal with your exposures as well as you get all the detail. And what I'm doing here in an image like this is I will be overexposing slightly. In the wildlife world, they call it ETTR, exposed to the right. Photography, and again, look at the reviews, I'm a real fan of simplifying things. Photography, like a lot of industries, is full of acronyms and lots of complex descriptions and lots of descriptions that don't make sense. Like, for example, I'm a Canon shooter, so continuous focus, most people could kind of get what that is. It's called AI servo. Okay, why don't you just call it continuous focus? So, I like to demystify things. So exposed to the right, there's a term here, and the reason it's called exposed to the right is like if you're overexposing, the needle goes to the right a bit. All that, is that right? I don't know, because it's going back to front here. But yeah, and that's why it's called that. So if you're in manual, you'll just overexpose a little bit. If you're in shutter or aperture priority, then you can use exposure compensation, a little button on the top of the camera, or sometimes on the back, with like a little diagonal on it. They've got plus minus. And you set that to sort of plus half, plus one, depending on the light. That's going to overexpose slightly. So in a scenario like this, and I tend to do it all the time because it just gives you that little bit of extra detail, but also to avoid our arch enemy, noise, which is what you can see on the right here, and the opposite is on the left. This is another technique. Some people will think that noise is just an attributable thing to the level of ISO, and that's a big part of it. But there are other things. An editing process can add noise. So if you are overexposing slightly, so your images are slightly on the bright side. So imagine this is a photo. This shirt is a little bit bright because it's a little webcam. It's a decent one, but it's a little bit bright. So if you were then editing this as an image, you would be getting the slides and turning it down slightly to get all the detail to show on this. That process works and it doesn't add noise. Whereas if you go the other way, if you were doing something like, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, something like this, for example. Your standard exposure on something like that, without overexposing or anything like that, will end up with a black blob. And 9 times out of 10, you can, in Lightroom, you can move the slides across. So if you see this background here that's a bit dark, you can move the slides across to increase the exposure. In some senses, some images quality, if shot in RAW, a good camera, you can go quite a way, but it will bring noise with it. And so you want to be toning stuff down. It's kind of simple little technique. So, long exposures is another thing that, we spend a lot of time with amateurs. Landscapes, composition, all these sort of things that are important. I mean, obviously, anybody's interested in dogs, this is the sort of stuff like Badger and Woody look, R2. How do we get shots like this? And here's a good one. I mean, and this is all meant to be about tips and techniques as well. So if you've got any questions, ask them. But let me just tell you about this image. It's very popular. It kind of, I wouldn't say it went viral, but it was very, very well received on Facebook. It was a client photo a couple of years ago. And people will say to me, oh, I'd love to get action shots like that. And some people will sort of say to me, well, yeah, that's really good, Carl, but you've got a Canon 1DX and all this sort of stuff. So just let me put it into context. And this is going back to getting the best from the photography with the equipment you've got. And I want to talk about that in the context of that image. So I've got a 1DX. I'll tell you about my camera as if I'm selling it to you. So, why would you want a 1DX Mark II? I know there's a Mark III out. Tempting, but nothing wrong with my camera. So 1DX Mark II, it's a pro camera. It's magnesium alloy. It's shutters. It run at 14 frames a second shutter speed. It's got a huge buffer in it, so you can keep your finger on the button and it just keeps going. It's got blisteringly fast AF processors in it. The memory in it is really fast. The lens I've got that goes with that is my 70-200. It's got fantastic optics and it's got really, really fast autofocus systems, and it's all brilliant. That's what I've got. Now people go, yeah, so I get that. I need that that's what I need to get these sort of images. So looking at that image, let me tell you, all of those things I've just said as features are irrelevant when it comes to this image. Not one of those features, apart from the ability of the camera to take the picture, were used in this image. What I'm doing here is I pre-focus, and it's a technique that a lot of people use, pre-focus on the heather. And so imagine that's the heather, pre-focus on that. So then everything in that plane is in focus. So when dog, imagine the AirPods a dog, jumps over, as long as you take the picture at the right time, whatever's in that plane will be sharp. And so whatever camera you've got, so Ali's 70D, the old camera, oldish camera that she's got, nothing wrong with it, would take a picture like that. You could even do that on an iPhone, frankly. So yeah, that's an important thing about this. Is there more questions, or is it just comments? Have a look. Let's have a look. Could you do the chat about choosing a longer lens and a tripod at some point, please? But a quick question. Yeah, Helen, let's have a little one-to-one and catch up. We haven't spoken to a bit. Helen's one of our members. Using a back button focus, how does that work if you're using a tripod with a remote? Do you have to take the back button focus off? Well, if you're using, it kind of depends on the subject, really. Just read that again. If I'm using back button focus, how does that work if you're using a tripod with a remote? Well, it will still work depending on what kind of remote you've got. A lot of remotes will allow you to sort of half press them. So as long as it's one of those, it will do the same thing. It'll activate the measurement stuff in it, but it isn't going to necessarily press the back button for you. So it will activate the focus and everything else. It will activate the measurement and switch the camera on. But typically, if you're going to be using a tripod, you wouldn't necessarily be needing to use back button focus. If you're using it to pre-focus, so on something like this image, so if you've pre-focused, so what you would do is just get it set up, and if you know there's, I don't know, imagine there's a bunch of wildlife that's going to be jumping over some heather or whatever it might be here. You'd pre-focus on heather, get the tripod set up, use your back button on your finger, and then that's it. And then when you press the remote shutter release, that's actually the same as pressing the shutter on the camera. So that's kind of the way you do it, really. But good question. But yeah, let me know. We'll definitely catch up. Right, let me get back to my main pictures. So yeah, that's kind of, I'm just touching on about amateurs and the kind of things that we're sort of dealing with in terms of overexposing, underexposing, tip setting. I think there's another one of my salmon shots. Did that one the other year. Quite like doing them because they're quite hard. But you know, here's some people stuff. It's not all about wildlife. So one of the things that a little tip for you all is a thing called in the photography world, it's called chimping. And so what that is is looking at the back of your camera. So you're taking photos, like click, 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 and then you spend time going, oh, okay, that's quite good. The process of doing this is called chimping. I don't quite know where it comes from. What I always say to people is, oh, yes, of course, you've got to check, make sure that the camera, you haven't got your lens cap on or anything ridiculous like that, is taking photos and the settings are right. But as long as you're comfortable that they're thereabouts, don't be doing it every 5 minutes, because you have to be ready to capture the moment. And that applies to all sorts. Certainly with dog photography, here's an example. Look, you know, this was in the middle of a client session, and the client was just getting out of her bag a tennis ball that we were going to be throwing. Oh, it was a dummy, actually. We were going to be throwing and getting the dogs to come back and jump over this log. So it was a bit of a sort of a pause in the activities. But I'm sitting there ready with my camera because I was able to get an image like that. This is the same thing at a wedding where the little bridesmaid there was just, bless her, you know, dead on her feet and, you know, cuddling a little teddy. I had to be quick to get that. It's not set up because she was pulling the bride's dress. So I think I had about 2 seconds to get that shot. So, you know, always be ready. Always have your camera on and ready to go. And one of the things that we do in the academy is, when it's kind of part of the learning process, really, it's a bit like when you learn to drive a car. When you first get in the car, you've got the steering wheel and you've got the handbrake and brake accelerator. It's all very sort of mechanical in terms of what you do. So the instructor, you'll say, so put your seatbelt on. So you look over here and you put your seatbelt in, and then you go and put your key in the ignition, and you look down and put the key in the ignition. It's strangely enough, the ignition is going to be in the same place the next time you get in there, as is the seatbelt and so on. But what happens is, over time, when you start having your lessons and you get more experience, you get in your car and you can be chatting to somebody, seatbelt's on, okay, and you start the engine and it's like you're looking out the window and you're driving. All that becomes a subconscious process that you don't need to think about. And photography is one of the things I'm really quite keen to sort of help photographers with, is when you get to that point with your photography, and we get our members there at whatever they are sooner, then your photography will improve significantly, because you're not then thinking too much about, oh, what about my settings, or change that. It starts to become a very natural, fluid thing. And then your composition improves because you're spending more time looking that way. And just so does your skill level, and you know, everything just gets a lot better, a lot quicker. But also you're then ready to capture things. So here's another dog example. This is I can't remember the name of the dog now. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, lovely photo, it's a beautiful dog. And we were at the end, and I was just leaning in the back of my car chatting, and then the dog came over and just stepped up like that, and the owner just put his hands down to give him a bit of a cuddle, and I got that shot. So sometimes it's about sort of staging things and getting things set up how you want them, you know, whether it's like wildlife or people or whatever. But some of the most powerful photos in the world that have gone viral have been right place, right time, ready to press that button. And that's something that we do a lot of in the academy. Now, what else? Let me just talk about beginners for a bit, and then I'll answer any more questions you might have. So if you join as a beginner, one of the most popular things is this getting off auto. It means my button gone. Oh, I keep moving around. Right, I will find it. Hold that thought. It's gone. There is. Think that one. So, getting off auto, and this is part of what I've just described in sort of learning to drive. When you learn to drive, well, it's not really learn to drive. If you're flying a plane on autopilot, that's fine. The minute you press the autopilot off button, you have to get control of the plane. So what's going on in coming off auto? One of the first things that you will need to understand as a photographer at whatever level, but particularly at beginner level, if you want to get off auto, is the exposure triangle. So we do quite a lot of work on this, and it's effectively the sort of the three levers that equal the exposure. So aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO. And what we do is work very closely with all the members, and it's not just like one video that you watch, to get people to understand that, because that, if you get that in your mind, and once it clicks, it can really transform your photography, because each one of those levers has a relationship to the other. So if you move one, you've got to move another one. You can't just move one and leave the other two where they are. And you've got control, if that makes sense. So we talk about that. Another thing we do is we demystify all the settings in the camera. There's tons. So quite often I'll go through members with literally their camera. They'll be on there with their camera, and I'll go, right, go through. It's like, I call it a bit of an audit. So let's just go through all the settings and make sure they're all where they should be. That's quite important. Do that for beginners and do that for everybody, actually. But, let's just talk about aperture for a minute. If we've got members, for example, that are going through the getting off auto sort of process, then it's all very well for me to say, yeah, well, what aperture does X, Y, and Z, but we spend a whole lot of time explaining what aperture is. Let's sort of wind back. It's the hole in the lens that gets bigger or smaller to let more or less light in. But why? Why do I need more or less light? What impact does the aperture have on the image, more or less depth of field and so on? But we spend quite a lot of time explaining that and working with the members in terms of being able to demonstrate how that works. So, I'm conscious it's 49 minutes, so let's just see if there's any more comments and questions. I think I've answered them all. But Helen, drop me a message when you get a minute, and I'll sort that out. And Andrew, I hope I clarified that for you, but if not, just drop me a message. Because I can happy to have a chat to you about that. I did all the other questions. Darren's one of our new members, which is what we like. I like it when people join when we're on live. So, all right, well, look, I will leave you in peace. Just so you know, I'm having one of those busy days today because the membership's open. Did I mention that? So I'm back here again at midday, and I've got a webinar with our pros this afternoon, because we're social media. If you're a pro out here and you're watching this, social media or Facebook, in the last week or so, the algorithms have all been changed again. So there's a whole raft of things that are different. So I'm spending an hour this afternoon with all of our pros, updating with that, and we've made quite a few changes. I've had to change some stuff I do on my Facebook page as a result of it. So that's quite a big part of what we do. But anyway, then the other webinar is 4 o'clock. So we're open till Sunday night, which I might have mentioned. And we do close. And the other thing is that some people say to me on a Monday, yeah, Carl, sorry, I can't seem to join. The link's not there. And that's because I don't think it's fair for me to come on live, and what we've been doing all week with the webinars and Facebook Lives, saying what I've been saying today, we're closing on Sunday night and you need to get in and all that kind of stuff, and then actually let people in after. It's not fair. The only exception to that is if you're, I've done any one-to-ones with me, or you're booking on any of our workshops, have a little look, because they're going to be gone soon, then you automatically get the right to join the academy whenever it suits you, which kind of makes sense. If you're investing in training, that's a different thing. So what else have I got to say on here? That's about it, really. I mentioned about the Christmas voucher thing, so if that's something that's of interest to you. Also, if you are, if you like what you see, but it's not ready for you just yet, there's on the website www.beyondtheLensAcademy.com. There's about a third of the way. There's a countdown time at the moment. It says membership open, big green. But before you can scroll all the way down. All the information's on the website, all about the different levels and everything else. And I'm going to pop on Facebook in a minute now and put the codes up for the discounts I mentioned. But you can join the mailing list. Now, I don't send tons of emails out because I hate it myself. So I sent one out this morning to everybody that's on there to say, right, membership's open. So if you and also about these codes. So check your junk mail, but because sometimes it goes to junk mail. But what I also do with those is I'll let people know about workshops. I'll let people know about the Facebook Lives, because even when we're not opening the doors, I'll try and do one a week. And when we're going to be opening the doors next, and anything else that goes on. So the mailing list is a good place to get yourself onto, because it will keep you updated with everything that's happening. So I will put it on Facebook in a minute, because I said it's going to be launched at 10 o'clock. But just as you're watching, if you're interested. So where's it gone? Wrong bit of paper. Goodness me. So for all the annual memberships, so there's two ways of joining the academy. You can join on a monthly basis or an annual basis. There's no tie-in. So if you join on a monthly basis and after a couple of months you think, I don't like this, that's fine. You stop. It's no automatic thing. Never happened. And if you join on an annual basis, the discounts are quite good at the moment, in fairness, much to the notes of my finance team. So in addition to the main discount, we've got this extra discount here, and I'll just summarise this in a sec. But there's a kind of, I'm pretty flexible, but normally sort of 14 days, couple of weeks or so, guarantee. So if as a result of joining, you sort of think, oh, this is not for me, it's not what I thought it was going to be, then you can leave and I'll give you money back. Never happened. But I think it's important to be open and honest about those sort of things, because a lot of companies are not so honest about that sort of stuff. So the discounts are in there. So the discounts vary from between 33% and 50% already. That's all there. So that's bagged. So that's going to change next time. It was meant to change this time, but it will definitely be changing if we open again before Christmas, or certainly if not in January, February time. But in addition to those offers that you'll see, all of the annual ones, if you where it says coupon, I think it's coupon or code. I haven't really looked, to be honest. The team have set it up this morning. If you type in the word camera, I think it's meant to be capitals. I'm not sure if it's case sensitive, but the word camera, you will get 10%. It will automatically deduct 10%. You see it draws those lines out, drops 10% off for you. So you can save 10% on the annual membership. And most of the annual memberships at the moment are 45%, 41%, and 50%. And this is in addition to that. And then the only other one we've added is for the monthly membership for the Pro Aspiring Pro. So there's a further 15% discount. So on that basis, I don't think there's any more questions. Let me just double check. No, that's fine. So look, thanks for coming along. I hope that's been useful. A little bit longer than planned, but I'm happy with that as long as you guys are. As I say, I'm back here at midday and I'm back here at 4 o'clock. But in the meantime, go and have a look at the Academy. If it's something you want to join, I'd love to see you inside. But if not, then, just get yourself on the mailing list so that you can at least come to these Facebook Lives where I'll sort of do hints, tips and tricks and stuff on a weekly basis. So look, I'm just on my video now, which you got another is. Right, look, thanks for your time and may see you later on, and ideally in the Academy, hopefully. See you later. Bye. Ooh.